Hello, this is Jess. This is November 26th, 2017, chat session number 26. And we're going to go right into our tidbits of history for this date. Alright, we're going to go with 1941. President Franklin D. Roosevelt signs a bill officially establishing the fourth Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day. Now, we just celebrated Thanksgiving this last Thursday that's passed, and this was a common tradition since the Plymouth, Massachusetts time, 1621, when they invited the Indians to celebrate. It was on a Thursday, and then it became each president was declared, I guess, every year a certain time for Thanksgiving on a Thursday of the month in November. And then Roosevelt tried the same thing, but he had a lot of controversy because he picked the 23rd of November as a permanent date, and it turned into a big controversy. And then on this day, November 1941, he signed a bill that said it would be the fourth Thursday in November. And that's where we are today with that celebration. And that happened in 1941. We're going to go on into the next little bit of history. 1968. Vietnam War. While returning to base from another mission, Air Force First Lieutenant James P. Fleming and 4 other Bell UH-1F helicopters pilots get an urgent message from an Army Special Forces team pinned down by enemy fire. Let me read that again. They got an urgent message from an Army Special Forces team that was pinned down by enemy fire. 2 helicopters were able to reach the area, while 2 others had to abandon the rescue due to low fuel. The first attempt failed because of intense ground fire, causing the 3rd helicopter to hold back and prepare to head back to base. But Fleming went ahead and tried a second time, and he managed to land his helicopter in the area and pick up the team. They arrived safely back at his base, Duke Quo, and it was determined at the time of landing that he was very, very, very low, if not completely out of fuel when he landed. So that was a pretty intense moment for this gentleman, I'm sure, but he wasn't going to abandon his soldier friends in action. And Fleming was later awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions. It's Vietnam War. It's been a while, seems like a long time ago, but in the scheme of things, it's it ended in 73, I believe. So 27 years or so, about 35 years back. No, I take that back. Would that be correct? 73, 83, 93, 2003, yeah. 40 years, basically. Around that time was when the war ended. And it was a very contested war in our own country. A lot of people were dissatisfied with the reasoning and the continued death toll of American soldiers. But again, that's now gone and past, and we've had numerous wars since then. But so it just makes you wonder if we're ever going to learn about aggression and about trying to control other countries that have their ways of doing things. But so far, we're having a hard time remembering our past when it comes to wars and aggression. And unfortunately, that has spun around, and we're having numerous terror attacks in our own country. With 9/11 being the main one that everybody wants to remember, but we've had bombings at Boston Marathon. We've had just people just being idiotic, shooting up the place, different areas of our country. And of course, New York's probably the main target, being the biggest city in the United States. But it's happening all across the country: California, Minnesota, Florida, Texas, Nevada. I mean, wherever there's people gathered around, there's probably been some kind of terror attack or some kind of terroristic action that's occurred. It's unfortunate, but it's a reality that as Americans we need to consider when we take aggressive action on other countries, to put our will down on them, to make them democratic, or to change the way they think, to get their resources, whatever the reasoning may be. Technology is allowing other countries now to fight back in many numerous ways, and they're using terror, from airlines to trains to subways to whatever they can come up with, and it's causing the normal citizens here to take heed and to be constantly thinking that what could happen to them while they're out and about doing their stuff. So just keep that in mind, and look at what we have going on in our government today, with defense contractors begging Trump to set up sales all over the world with weapons so they can make bank. And unfortunately, what's happening is those weapons that we're selling are being turned around and used against our people over in foreign lands and even within our own country. Again, that goes back to my feelings on greed. Wherever there's humans and there's money, the tendency is for somebody to want that money and to do anything at any cost to get it. And that means, unfortunately, death and war and unnecessary things like that because somebody wants stuff. I believe in national security. I would like to be able to walk out my front door and not have to worry about being sniped or soldiers waiting around the corner for when we come out, that kind of stuff. I think we're not there yet. But we look at it on TV and to see other countries where it's like that, and we keep thinking, oh, it'll never happen here. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong in a lot of that, the way I see things. But unfortunately, if we continue to allow these defense contractors to funnel weapons all over the globe to other countries, eventually you can bet that some of that technology is going to come back and be used right here within our own borders. Just stuff to pay attention to that's going on. Don't be fooled by the rhetoric of it's important, for national security, blah, 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 because all it is some company producing a lot of weapons and then going out and selling them so that people can go kill each other, and they're laughing all the way to the bank, and they could give a crap about what their weapons are doing to people, whether it be here or abroad. I think it should be illegal for private companies to sell weapons. I think that there should be some kind of regulation on the government selling weapons, and that would cause a lot of this greed to be halted and take the control of our resources, where we spend, if I'm not mistaken, we spend 10 times more in our military in our country, 10 times more than the next 10 countries combined in dollars. and I think that is just crazy. Like I said, I believe in national security, but I don't believe in mass producing weapons for other countries to buy them so they can turn around and use them against us later on. While those defense companies, defense contractors continually just to rake in the money that we as taxpayers are filling their pockets because of the past budgets that are used on defense spending every year. Just look at it. Just look at. There's a pie graph, supplied by our government, shows the amount of spending on all the departments, and you'll notice that people complain about, those people on welfare and all that. They're the reason that our country has a deficit, and they ram that down our throats. But if you look at the pie chart, the amount of money spent on welfare, you can't even really see it on the chart. It's so small, it's insignificant compared to the defense spending. It's not even visible. So keep that in mind as well. The lies to make us think that the money's being spent for our protection, but really it's just lined in the pockets of defense contractors, and the kickbacks, of course, coming back to the senators and their congressmen that vote on these things. And I think all that needs to be stopped. I think that it's time for a change in how work is done in Washington, D.C., when it directly affects us, the people who are keeping that open by our tax dollars. So if you feel like it, check it out, get involved, look at the spending, look at the budgets that have been passed in years past, and also the one now that's being passed with all this huge defense spending. You got to question, who's really benefiting from that. But anyway, okay, this is chat session number 26, and I'd like to take a drink of coffee. It is about 7:45 a.m. Be truthful, be happy, and let's look out for each other, okay? I think that those things right there, if we could just all learn how to, even when the truth hurts, or when the truth hurts us by what we've done, actions that may occur, different things, I think that being truthful gets it all done, so that the pain and the suffering can halt and the healing can begin. Being happy, that's just a simple misnomer, a simple suggestion. I understand the stress of the day. I understand the stress of work, the stress of marriage, the stress of life. But if we just can all find something pleasant about it, it'll increase our happiness, which reduces our stress on our body, and life could be a little more enjoyable because of it. And then, of course, the voluntary one of looking out for each other. I feel that not just within family, but just in the daily routine, we see things that are wrong and we know they're wrong, and we maybe put a blind eye to it because we don't want to be involved. But I think if we became more involved as a people, we could reduce a lot of this insanity that's going on in our streets, of the guns and the useless people being shot at and killed in cities like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Dallas. I think that if we just look out for each other, I think we can eliminate all that without law enforcement really needing to be involved. Now, things could escalate, and that's what law enforcement's there for, to control an escalation in hostilities. But at the same time, we as a people need to just decide we're not going to put up with all this nonsense. And if we could do that, then I think we might have a more pleasant remaining part of our life, or beginning of our life, or whatever. It's Sunday, football. I'm making this video on time and early because I'm going to watch football. So go Seattle, happy Sunday, and enjoy football today.